Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
this week on the first run. We're going to talk about, well, all right, let's do some bookkeeping first. Dave, unfortunately, is not here this week. He had some familial obligations and he couldn't make it, unfortunately. So we decided to table our discussion of Furious 7, and we're going to talk about Wolf Cop. We're going to talk about Wolf Cop. And then after that, we're also going to talk about the Houses October Built. So you have a horror comedy buddy cop film thing, and then you have a found footage revival-esque horror film. And we'll get into both of those. We'll tell you what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD. And we're also going to do the 5 best films of 1986. Huge year. I had no idea how huge 1986 was until I sat down to do this list. Dave is going to be kicking himself that he wasn't available for this show because there's a lot to talk about that year. And Matt, you're going to have some news for us?
Yeah, a few news items. A few.
All right. And I'll try and pick up the slack too with Dave's streaming pick of the week as well. And I'm sure, Matt, actually, you could probably, yeah.
I mean, we are reviewing a streaming pick of the week.
That's a fair point. That's a good way to put it. So let's dive into all that and hear a clip from Wolf Cop. So now, if you download the podcast, which you can get at thefirstrun.com or via iTunes, you could actually hear Wolf Cop right now.
Oh.
Which I know is exciting for our viewers. Instead of just hearing Matt and I tread water for the next minute while we wait for that trailer to play through.
The trailer is almost as long as the movie itself.
It is a tight 89, isn't it? I was impressed by that.
Yeah.
And not even, it's like 87
It's 78.
78.
Yeah.
That's right. Man, it's breezy, that film. It does cruise right along. So, yeah. But I did see Furious 7, but I am going to table my thoughts about that until next week. Hopefully Dave will see that. Though I am going to try and check out Ex Machina as well. Is it Ex Machina?
Yeah, Ex Machina.
Looks pretty good. I don't know. I got about 10 seconds there of water treading. Look at all the Buffy. Is that Buffy or Babylon 5 behind you?
Where? Well, yeah, Buffy. Babylon 5 is right there. That's the Star Trek. Well, that Buffy's down there.
So that was Wolf Cop, the story of a guy who meets a girl and becomes a wolf, and he's a cop. We have a guy, he's an alcoholic cop in a small town, and one night he goes to check out some alert thing. Sees some guy, I think a friend of his, tied up, and then they get to drop on him, and then he wakes up the next day with a pentagram carved in his chest, which will happen. And
I can't tell you how many times that's happened.
Yeah. And then he wakes up, or something happens to him at a bar that night, and he turns into a werewolf. And he decides to embrace it because he's also a cop. So he's Wolf Cop, trying to find out what happened to him while he fights crime. And then that's it. As we said, it's a tight, what, Matt, 78 minutes?
78 minutes.
I got to tell you, breezily paced. And I initially, when I saw this was the Best Buy exclusive, I think, for a while. You had to get it from them. And I think now and then a week or two, it's going to be everywhere. But you can watch it on Netflix right now, which is what we did. Mm-hmm. And I first thought of it, and I'm like, you know what? I am so tired of these movie guys, the Hollywood elite, trying to cash in on the genre pick and just keep churning out this kind of crap stuff. Like they're purposely trying to make a B movie, right?
Right.
But they always get it wrong. They always just, I don't know, they err too much on one side, too much drama or too much corniness, too much whatever. And it never works. When you try to do something, a lot of times it's hard to do it. So when I heard the concept of this, I was dreading it. And then I watched a trailer. And then I'm like, you know what? I think I want to see this. So, Matt, where does this film come down for you? Is this a modern cult classic? Is it a failed try to do that kind of thing, or somewhere in the middle?
Honestly, I think it's somewhere in the middle for me. I think it is as you alluded, even though it's only 78 minutes, it certainly takes its time, kind of moving from thing to thing. It's very a lackadaisical 78 minutes. And when this movie kind of decides to embrace the ridiculousness and just kind of go balls out, it is pretty good. I enjoyed some of the scenes that they had, and my wife was sitting there watching it with me, under duress, because what choice did she have? And the love scene that comes on, I'm like, man, this is like a total Cinemax 80s love scene right now. This is something straight from being 12 years old. So I think when they really decided to embrace it, I thought it was pretty fun. But like the kind of, I don't know, world building, I don't know. It just, a lot of that probably could have been excised as far as I'm concerned.
So what, you want to turn this thing down to about 43 minutes?
No, I would have just made it much like crazier all the time.
All right. Well, I think you're wrong about that. I think I had just enough juxtaposition. What's the word I'm looking for? What is it? I had enough exposition and establishment of characters that I was fine. I was good. I didn't think it lollygagged at all. I think it was a tight 78. I think it worked for me pretty much from start to finish. You gotta like when they throw in a little bestiality as well, if you can call it that, because you have sexual werewolf. Is that bestiality? Yeah. I'm not quite sure what that falls under.
Sure.
I'll have to look that up on YouPorn. But I have to say, I really enjoyed this film. It's a lot of fun. It's violent, excessively violent at times, corny as all hell, and the best thing about it is that it's just patently ridiculous from start to finish. I mean, it is a lot of times. It's not even tongue in cheek. It's it's just in your face ridiculousness at every stop, and I really enjoyed it. Part of me wants to watch this as a weekly buddy cop show set in the 70s. I think that would really be the gold mine for this film. And I love at the end that they say there's going to be a new film too. That Wolf Cop 2 is coming out in 2015. I can tell you, unfortunately, according to IMDb, that has been pushed to 2016.
I was about to say, it's a pretty bold prediction on their part.
Yes, but I got to tell you, I want to see another one. I do. I love the fact that all the performances are pretty much dedicated. Nobody's sleepwalking their way through this. Everybody seems to be having a good time, at least as much as I did watching it. I love the fact that the werewolf's spinach was alcohol.
Yeah.
He gained more powers or stronger, whatever you want, with every pint of moonshine he seems to ingest. And I really felt this is just like a nice late night keeper. I really think that I'm not saying it's a cult classic right off the bat.
Right.
In an exercise in ridiculous genre filmmaking, I think it's entirely successful, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just was looking for something like when they raid the meth lab.
A film called Wolf Cop.
Yeah, I wanted more wolf, less cop. I don't know. I mean, when they raid the meth lab and just some of the stuff. I mean, I laughed out loud at some of the sadism of it.
He rips off a guy's face.
That was awesome. That was so funny. And because they kept playing for laughs, like it was gross, but the makeup was actually pretty good. But the fact that he's still running around and popping up like minutes later I thought was pretty funny. So I mean, I thought it had a lot of good points to it. We'll see what happens when we don't need as much exposition with Wolf Cop 2. We don't have the research in the library scene, which they had. So I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's good. It was another Wolf Cop origin film.
Exactly.
We can just dive right into the action.
That's right. He can bring out his Wolf Cop mobile, which was pretty cool as well, and just go to town.
That's right. That thing was awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. So, how would you plot Wolf Cop 2? I'm trying to figure out what it would be. Would you go up against another like a Frankenstein's monster or a Black Lagoon thing? What would you do?
What would I do for Wolf Cop 2? So
or I was like another crime ring, like a Godfather type thing.
Maybe it would be kind of like a Teen Wolf, where Wolf Cop has cleaned up the town and basically everybody knows that he's Wolf Cop and he's walking around as a werewolf all the time. And then like a group of wolf gangsters move in. So then you have like a street gang or maybe like a criminal syndicate made up of werewolves that come in and fight Wolf Cop. And I think Tina should become a Wolf Cop as well.
I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
Though I don't know. Part of me wants to have a different villain. I don't know if it's like possessed and animated scarecrows or Wolf Cop versus Zombie.
Or
I don't know.
maybe Dracula moves in, a vampire, like a Godfather, like it's a vampire of some kind. That's the
That is,
classic, right?
yeah, that is the ultimate rivalry. That's like Yankees Red Sox,
It is.
vampires and werewolves. And really, I think Les Wiseman would or would have would be Len Wiseman, sorry, would be good to watch this film to how to handle lycanthropes. And I got to tell you one thing, I firmly believe that this is a better film than that god awful Wolfman remake with Benicio del
Yeah,
Toro
that
that we did
was
years ago.
terrible. That was terrible. And even just the transformation scenes was kind of interesting how they did it. And some of it was I was not expecting.
No, no, I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not a film you're going to want to watch with the family.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. So, what would be your recommendation then for the kids at home regarding Wolf Cop?
Yeah, I would check it out if you're kind of if you like B movies, if you like horror movies, if you can kind of just take something lighthearted and you're into that kind of thing, I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that as well. If you're into that kind of thing, I think Wolf Cop will deliver. Well, I'm surprised. Like we said, it's a tight 78. So you're in and out real fast.
Yeah.
I think you'll enjoy it. All right. So, Matt, let's talk about what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday, April 14th. For me, one of the big scares for me this year, or last year, was it this year? The Babadook is being released. Did you check out The Babadook?
I did see it a few months ago.
What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good. It was kind of disturbing. It was actually made me a little uncomfortable just watching it. But I guess that's what you kind of want from a horror movie, right?
And I think as a parent, I'm wondering if the film has a little added horror to it.
Yeah, I think it does, just because, I mean, not even so much the creature, but just like her reaction to her kid and like, how she gets frustrated with them and all that kind of stuff. It's, you can kind of even see yourself in that to a point, So
Yeah, were you rooting for the Babadook?
yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's coming out. There's a director-approved limited edition version of it that comes with a pop-up book slipcover. I think I may want to check that out. Includes the original short film Monster that the movie was based on, and some deleted scenes and a bunch of other stuff. I think right now it's like $14.99 on Amazon, so you may want to pick it up.
That's not bad. I would actually consider buying that.
Yeah. Cronenberg's latest film, Map to the Stars, starring Julianne Moore, Robert Pattinson, Mia Wasikowska, Cusack, Sarah Gadon, Olivia Williams, is coming out as well. Also, Tim Burton's latest film, Big Eyes, with Christoph Waltz, who continues to claim he is not Blofeld. Mr. Waltz, you are full of shit. The Woman in Black 2, the sequel to the Daniel Radcliffe horror film from Hammer Films. I love that Hammer's back in the game. I did not see the sequel, though. But that's coming out. I'm sure that'll hit Netflix at some point. Yeah. It includes a couple making of featurettes and a deleted scene. Are you a fan of the DC animated films?
I've seen a few of them, just the ones that are on Netflix. Some of them I like, some of them I don't. I still do want to catch their version of the Dark Knight Returns. But I mean, as a whole, I did like them. What was the one with Batman doing his whole like Batman Doom or something like that? Was that what it was? The one where he like tries to fight all the Justice League and he like defeats each one of them based on what he's come up with.
Yeah, it's based on the Justice League. What I can't remember what the name of that one was, but yeah, because he has a plan to take everybody out,
right? And
somebody steals the plan and takes everybody out,
right?
But yeah, that one's actually, I think, the best one I've seen. That one was actually really good. I have the Dark Knight one. I've only seen the first half of it.
Okay.
But so I have to catch up with the second half. But you're getting Batman versus Robin, based on the comic art. Includes the deluxe version, comes with a Batman figure and a bunch of behind the scenes featurettes. I don't know if behind the scenes, but making of, I guess it would have to be, right? And some exclusive to Blu-ray, which is a commentary for it as well, and some bonus cartoons from the vault of DC.
Nice.
Man with the Iron Fists. Remember that one?
Yes, I do.
Well, the sequel's getting released on Blu-ray called The Sting of the Scorpion.
Okay.
Did you have enough love for the Man with the Iron Fist that you'd want to see a sequel?
No, not really.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. If it's on Netflix, I'd probably check it out. But, I don't know. New to Blu-ray, Criterion is giving us Sullivan's Travels. John Sullivan decides to make a Oh Brother Where Art Thou thing, a serious, social, responsible film about human suffering. After his producers point out that he knows nothing of hardship, Sullivan hits the road disguised as a hobo. En route to enlightenment, he meets a lovely but no-nonsense young woman played by the lovely Veronica Lake, and more trouble than he ever dreamed of. It's the comic masterpiece by Preston Sturges, coming out on Blu-ray from Criterion. Includes an all-new commentary by Noah Baumbach, as well as some behind the scenes features and a documentary about Preston Sturges. You should definitely want to check that out. Criterion is also giving us Odd Man Out, taking place largely over the course of one tense night. It's Carol Reed who gave us The Third Man. It's a psychological noir set in an unnamed Belfast town. Stars James Mason as a revolutionary ex-con leading a robbery that goes horribly wrong. There's a whole new high-definition digital restoration on this one, as well as new interviews with the British cinema scholar John Hill, music scholar Jeff Smith, a 72 documentary about the film starring James Mason, where he visits his hometown, and a bunch of other stuff. Long Weekend. Are you familiar with Long Weekend, the horror film?
No.
I think it's coming out from Synapse. Might be Vinegar Syndrome. Pretty sure it's Synapse. But it's about a couple, and they're going to the countryside, and they don't give a crap about anything. They're littering, shooting their guns everywhere, and they drive away after wounding a kangaroo with their car. And what happens is the animals and the environment say, you know what, I've had enough, and they go after the people.
Interesting.
Yeah. Includes auto commentary from the producer Richard Brendan and cinematographer Vincent Monton, and some other features as well. Class of 1984. Being released on Blu-ray from Scream Factory, has an all-new high-definition digital transfer. New interviews with the director, Mark Lester, composer Layla Schifrin, and actors Lisa Langlease and Aaron Noble. A new Croy retrospective interview with actor Perry King. A separate audio commentary with the director, Mark Lester, as well. So if you're a fan of Class of 1984, here's your chance to pick it up on Blu-ray. Also being released for Blu-ray in the first time, Eddie and the Cruisers and Eddie Lives as a double pack. Return to Oz, which is the one I believe starring Fairuza Balk, correct?
Yeah.
And then Twilight Time is giving us Richard III, the one starring Ian McKellen. Have you seen that version, Matt? I really
where it's like in the 30s. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Kind of like a Nazi version.
Yeah, I like it.
And then The Remains of the Day, and then finally the Sean Connery sci-fi epic Zardoz.
Oh, I've never seen Zardoz. I've just seen the pictures.
Everybody's familiar with that orange bikini jumpsuit thing that he's wearing.
Yes.
So that's your chance to check out Zardoz on Blu-ray. Your straight-to-DVD pick of the week, I'm going with Avengers Grimm. When Rumpelstiltskin destroys the magic mirror and escapes to the modern world, the four princesses of Once Upon a Time, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, and Rapunzel, are sucked through the portal too. Well-trained and endowed with magical powers, they must fight Rumpelstiltskin and his army of thralls before he enslaves everyone on Earth. So not only are we cashing in on the Avengers Age of Ultron with the Avengers title, we're also doing that Once Upon a Time show, and we're basically turning the princesses into, I don't know, colonial marines to take out Rumpelstiltskin.
It's kind of like Fables. Did you ever read Fables?
Yes, I love Fables.
Yeah, with Cinderella as a kind of like a James Bond analog. So there you go. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're ripping that off as well.
There you go. Which isn't that Once Upon a Time all that show is doing as well?
Yeah, I guess so. I watched some of that, but it's not good.
I haven't seen it. All right. So did you have a streaming pick for us there, Matt?
No, I don't actually. I'm sorry. I would have said Wolf Cop.
So there's that, but I can tell you too, if you haven't seen it, this is Spinal Tap is on Netflix.
Oh, really?
One of the greatest comedies of all time.
It is excellent.
Is it the first mockumentary?
Yeah, I think it's one of the first. I think so, yeah.
But about the legendary heavy metal band Spinal Tap. It's one of the funniest films ever made. Rob Reiner's first film as well. If you haven't seen it, you absolutely have to check it out. And it's on Netflix right now.
It's a good pick.
All right. So you have any news for us?
Yeah, I've got a few. It's been a relatively slow news week, but this is what we got. So I'll go ahead and say this right now before Chris yells at me. I have not watched this trailer, but if you're into this sort of thing, the Red Band Human Centipede 3 Red Band trailer is out right now for you to watch. This one apparently, as described by Tom Six, will have a lot of self-mockery and will be the most darkly comic, although it looks like it's still just as nasty as ever. And some of the promo stills, it looks like it takes place in a prison where it looks like they've got about 3,000 people lined up ass to mouth. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I actually saw this. I wish it was in time for Easter, but I did watch the trailer today, and I don't know. The first one was very weird and uncomfortable, right? And the second one was just disturbing. And his decision to shoot in black and white, I don't know if it added to the horror. I don't know, but it's a really weird, sick film.
Right.
But I think I'm set. I think I'm good.
Yeah. I haven't even watched the second one just from what I've heard about it. I'm just like, I can skip that. I don't think I really need to see any of that stuff.
It was on Netflix for a long time. Might
It
still
was.
be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think I'm set on the Human Centipede story arc. I don't think I need to finish this trilogy. Like much like The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films, I think
Right.
I'm all set.
You think you're all set? You never watched Return of the King?
Well, I should stress I mean the Hobbit films.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Okay.
Not
It got better. It got better.
Marginally.
Yes, you're right. It is no Human Centipede 3, that's for sure. All right. So what else? So True Detective, the new trailer for that is out. It's completely silent. Well, it's silent, I should say. There's no dialogue, so we don't really have a whole lot of idea what's it about. Although Colin Farrell is rocking a pretty kick-ass mustache. He certainly is. This one takes place in California, but the plot synopsis that I've read is just so convoluted. I won't even try and explain it. Something about Vince Vaughn's a bad guy and Rachel McAdams is a cop and Colin Farrell's a crooked cop, and then they kind of interact and collide. It comes out June 21st, but it looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited to check that out. I watched a trailer for that as well. I don't know if I buy Rachel McAdams.
No,
I don't know, but maybe she's as a hardened, toughened cop because she's a waif. She's like what? Coming in at 75 pounds. She's tiny. And she's always. I know her from all these romantic comedies. I don't know if I'm being sexist right now. It certainly sounds like I am. But I'll check it out. I'm excited because I'm picking up HBO Now this week, maybe even later tonight. It hit Apple TV Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that.
So I am an HBO subscriber, so I have like HBO Go and all that kind of stuff. But what is the deal with HBO Now? How much is it?
$15 a month.
Okay.
And all you need is internet connection. You even have to have a cable subscription.
Wow. There you go. Do you have a cable subscription or have you jettisoned it again?
No, I have it because the missus, she's a big fan of the news.
The news.
And she likes the Bravo shows and all that stuff. And you can't get like the Top Chef. You can't get that stuff online or afterwards. It's not possible.
Okay.
So we're stuck with cable. So, yeah. But I'm definitely, because I Veep's coming back, which I like a lot. Because I love John Oliver's show, and I've been missing it. So, yeah.
Very good. And you've got Game of Thrones.
That's right.
That's right, on Sunday. So good. I think you're going to enjoy it. I've been relatively impressed. Even when HBO shows are not that good, they're still pretty good. Now, do you get you don't get Cinemax with that, right? Even though they
No.
Oh, that's too bad. All right, well, interesting.
No, I have to rely on the internet for my smutty films.
Well, but believe it or not, some of their shows are actually pretty good. I'm a big fan of Banshee. I mean, it is some whacked out crazy shit, but it's a pretty good show. It's fun.
What's Banshee about?
It's about this ex-con. He gets out of prison, comes to town where his ex-partner is laying low and has changed her life, and the new sheriff that nobody's ever seen gets killed by a gang of local toughs. So he takes over. He pretends that he's the sheriff, and insanity ensues. It's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah. If you get a chance to check it out, watch it.
What channel is Ash and the Evil Dead going on? Is it like Showtime or?
That's going to be on Stars.
Stars.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Stars?
I have Stars. I had it when Spartacus was on because I really enjoyed Spartacus, but I haven't seen anything else that they've come out with since it's been off.
And you caught up with Powers? I know you watched the first episode.
I watched the first episode. I have not caught up with Powers. I'll probably do that in the summer when there's nothing else on. But right now, there's just enough to keep me occupied with Justified and Daredevil and Game of Thrones and everything else that's coming out right now.
Yeah, Daredevil hits Friday, and they released the full costume.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty excited
today.
Yep.
And what else? Justified, sadly, coming to an end. I didn't see this week's show yet.
Okay.
But I was happy to learn that they renewed Americans for a 4th season as well.
Yeah.
So that's great.
That's an excellent show as well.
So there you go.
All right. So there's our little television digression. So I'll make a couple more quick things. ABC has revealed that they are going to have an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spin-off show written by or created by the show S.H.I.E.L.D.'s current producers, Jeffrey Bell and Paul Zibzowski. I guess that's right. Yeah. They don't really know what it's going to be about, though. It could be about the Inhumans, which would be kind of cool, or it could focus on Deathlock. Those are some of the rumors that are out there right now, but obviously it's in the works. So I guess Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. must be doing pretty well. Do you watch it?
I do. I caught up with it late. I didn't really watch the first season. So I watched the first 5 episodes of the first season, and it
Right.
just was not good.
Right. It
I just
wasn't.
didn't care about it. So I stopped following it. Because I was also too, this is my time when I didn't have cable. So I had to make an effort to find it, on
Sure.
Hulu or whatever. And I just didn't care. But after Winter Soldier hit and the show finally got good, it's been good. I actually really like the Sharon Carter or Peggy Carter, sorry, little mini thing that they did.
Yeah,
That was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah, I've been pretty impressed with it. I mean, I think it picked up after the Winter Soldier with the whole Hydra stuff, and then the kind of way they're bringing out the Inhuman stuff, and I do appreciate with the show. They will like reveal stuff and then they'll like resolve it like the next episode. They're not like dragging it out for episode after episode. So I think they may have learned some of their lessons, which I appreciate.
Yeah, and speaking of which, the stuff with the Flash, I think so. I still think the Flash is the best superhero show on television.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's awesome.
But I was so upset because they had the big reveal and they did everything, and then they negated the whole thing with time travel the very next week.
I know. But it looks like we're getting Grodd this week, so that's something.
Yep, and I guess they are still going to wrap up or do something with Reverse Flash by the end of the season. And I can't give Flash a hard time because time travel is one of the integral things about the character. So,
right.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, I've been really impressed with Flash so far, so we'll see. It's been much better than Arrow, which is much more soap opera-y, which is probably why my wife likes it better.
Arrow is still good, though I don't quite know if I buy this whole I'm going to be Ra's al Ghul type thing. I don't know. I just don't know. I can't seem to get into this season's overall arc. I don't know what it is. I just can't seem to do it.
Very good. All right. Let's see. One more trailer came out. Sinister 2 trailer, which I didn't even realize they were making a sequel. Did you have a chance to check this one out?
I have not seen that. In fact, I didn't even know it was happening. I mean, I knew it was happening, but I didn't know it was close until I saw it on the IMDb page.
Yeah,
that it was coming. So,
well, it's making it. The trailer kind of gives it like an old school 80s horror sequel vibe. So they kind of just like get rid of the setup and kind of go straight to killing people, which seems, I don't know. I think part of the strength of the first one was the build-up, so I'm be kind of interested to see how this one plays out. I
thought the first one was really creepy. I liked it a lot.
Me too.
So I am interested in seeing what happens next. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'll have to check that one out.
All right, and then the last piece of news I got is Disney's CEO was announced during the shareholder meeting that Pixar is going to be doing an Incredibles 2, and Brad Bird, has the writer of the original, his time has been freed up, so he is actually going to be working on it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think Incredibles, is Dave's favorite Pixar film. Mine's still WALL-E.
Yeah.
But Incredibles is up there. I mean, I love everything Brad Bird's ever done. So I'm really interested in checking out Incredibles 2, and I'm happy that they're finally making time to do it instead of spending time cashing in and making another damn Planes or Cars film. So
there you go. Well, they are making another Toy Story movie as well, so they're cashing in on that first.
That's all right, as long as it's done right. I'm assuming we're gonna have a new family this time, right?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how there's a lot of guessing, but nobody really knows how it's going to work out.
Interesting. All right, let's see how that turns out. All right, well, let's move on. Let's play a little clip from the next film we're going to talk about, which is The Houses That October Built. All right, The Houses October Built. Again, download the show. Go to the iTunes, search for the First Run podcast. Go to the website. Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com, and you can find all this. In the meantime, you get to have the cool internet show, the YouTube show, which is when we talk about stuff while that trailer's running, which you won't get on the podcast. So you have to watch it twice. And the great thing is I make no money either way.
Someday. You just keep plugging away there, champ.
That's right. Someday it'll happen. Well, so what have I gotten recently? Which one of the big things I bought I was all excited about? Oh, I got my Beyond box set, the Lucio Fulci film.
Oh, really?
The Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm finally came in because it's one of the features that it comes with is the soundtrack to the film, too.
Did you read that AV Club article on the 100 best films of the half decade or whatever?
No, I've seen it, but I haven't read it yet.
They have something in there that's about an homage to those Italian, the Gallardo, is that what it's called? Italian
Giallo.
Yeah, it's that they have apparently. And I've never heard of it. I just was wondering if you would maybe have seen it, but I unfortunately forgot its name, so I'm not being helpful.
No, I gotta check that out. There, interesting. Yeah. I'll have to look into that. All right. So Matt, now we have the houses that October built, or just the houses October built. There's no things in there. So basically the story of a bunch of friends who decide to load up their RV, travel the country, and try and find the greatest haunts. Because Halloween has become kind of a big Halloween, but the roadside, the homemade haunted house things, across the country have really built up over the years. So they're now touring the countryside trying to find the biggest and best ones. And there's this one that they keep hearing about, Blue something. And if they can just find it and videotape it, and they can see what the greatest horror thing part thing is. Now, what happens is, though, it's a found footage film, so some people hate these things. But what happens is, as they meet people and they go to these different haunts, weird, strange things seem to happen. And maybe, you know what? Maybe there's something much more sinister going on here, Matt. So I'm personally a fan of found footage films.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always kind of interested to see what comes up next, how they stick with the genre. When do they break the rules? When do they not? If they do, how do they end up working? You had high hopes for this. You had recommended it to me a couple times. So let me ask you, were you happy with the results that you finally got to check out for this thing?
Not really. I like found footage movies as well, but I think part of it was, this documentary that they're making would have been the most boring documentary ever. And it was weird just kind of watching, like so much of the movie is just them walking through these cheesy haunted houses. And it's not scary. And I guess it's really not supposed to be, but so much of it, well, I take that back. I don't even know if it was supposed to be scary watching all that stuff, but it just wasn't. And granted, you'd see some creepy people in the background and stuff like that, but it obviously they kind of have at the risk of alienating your Carney listeners, they had kind of a creepy Carney vibe thing going on. But I don't know, I just wasn't impressed.
Carney, yeah, that is our main audience. Actually, that's true.
Well, you may want to edit all that out then.
Carneys and ex-cons.
That's right.
Pedophiles. No, I don't know. This film was frustrating for me. I liked parts of it, though I feel that half the characters in this van were red shirts from Star Trek. I feel like they were, they're cannon fodder. They serve no purpose except to get killed at some point in the film.
Right.
We really only focus on 3 characters. And if we really get down to it, there's only 2 of them that you recognize from scene to scene, which is the big burly guy with the beard and the woman.
Right.
But one of the big frustrating things for me is that everything here seems to happen off screen. Mm-hmm. Outside, when it comes to the real stuff, the real air quotes, when they meet up with the people that are stalking them, there's a cool, interesting scene with the baby doll person on the van. I think that was rather effective. But as a whole, the rest of it's just kind of lackluster. And I think that's one of the problems with found footage films is you're hamstrung a lot of times by not being able to show things because people drop cameras or something happens or, what's weird because I think some of the scariest stuff in film is the stuff you don't see. It's when your imagination gets to work, right? And I have to think this must be a failure of the film because that stuff never happened for me. All the deaths and all the big things happen off screen,
mm-hmm.
or you just hear it, whatever the case may be. But nothing really happens on screen, and I was disappointed by it. I wanted to actually see something. I think they do an interesting job for the most part as the film progresses, where you're never really sure if people are just screwing with them from this blue skeleton place the whole time, or if there is something actually more sinister going on. But the problem is, by the time you get the ultimate payoff, you don't care.
Yeah. and it's really hard to watch. Like even the stuff that is still there, all of it's so dark and everything's so shaky. Like even more so than a normal found footage movie. Like literally during the climactic scenes, like 90% of the footage is them walking around with like a glow stick, and that's all you can see. Which I guess is, I understand they're trying to set up atmosphere. You don't see what else is going on, but it's just confusing to watch. Like you can't even tell where they are, where it's supposed to be. It kind of robs the whole thing of tension.
Yeah, I would agree with that entirely. So I was a little disappointed. I'd kind of, I guess, built it up in my head that it was going to be. I like the idea, you know,
Yeah.
going to haunted houses or these pop up haunt things, and then you know, and then something goes horribly awry.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know if it's just poorly executed. Or I don't know. I just ultimately I was disappointed. I have to say too, for the kids at home, I just don't. This idea needs a better execution. I think it needs to be a better film.
Do you think it would have been better? And I thought when especially like the scene that you referenced with the weird doll girl in the RV, when I saw that in the trailer, I was expecting it to be that they had found something that was actually truly supernatural, which is, I don't think, which doesn't really play out in the film. Do you think it would have been better if it had been something truly supernatural as opposed to being like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre where you've got, again, vicious carnies running after people?
I'm not sure. I could go either way on that. I think I wouldn't be against it, and I think it may add an interesting dimension to the film. But I don't know if it would have been mandatory. If that's really would have pushed it over the edge for me. If that's what it was, then yeah, I would have enjoyed it more. I can't say that, but I don't know. I think either way, and I think either way, I think they still would have failed to execute if it ended up being some supernatural being that was powered by the fear of people on Halloween or whatever you want to call it. No, I don't know.
I guess maybe they would have. I think my thinking, and maybe this is just wishful thinking on my part, it would have pushed things a little bit more over the top if they thought they could have gone with something like that.
Maybe. I part of me too actually wanted to. I would rather think at times wanted to watch a documentary on the haunts on Discovery Channel or Travel Channel instead of watching the film itself.
Yeah, you know what? We should do that. You're right. I should go watch America's Scariest Haunts.
There it is.
Yeah.
Much better, I think, time than this. So if you had a chance to see The House's October Belt or previously Wolf Cop, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Love to hear your thoughts. All right, Matt. Do you have anything else to add about The House's October Belt, or are you pretty good?
I'm pretty good.
All right. So let's talk about 1986. 1986. I was a robust 2 years old. Or 11. But it was a big year for film. Now, I got to tell you, when I went through this list, I got real sentimental. I really did. I'm usually I try and wade through stuff and try and at least be somewhat the fraudulent critic that I am and pick stuff that's actually worthy. But a lot of the stuff I chose just hit me right that I just couldn't let it go.
I have an idea of what some of those are, and I'm gonna be looking for them on your list.
So I'll go first. So I'll give you the ultimate number one.
Okay.
But so number 5, I'll give you, if you watch the streaming show, I'm going to give you a clue what my number 5 is right now.
Really?
I'm going with Labyrinth. I'm choosing Labyrinth as my number 5. Or you're thinking I was going Absolute Beginners because that came out in '86 too? No, I'm not going Absolute Beginners. Though I tell you, as a Bowie fan, as a Bowie acolyte, as a man who has a restraining order against him, when you're looking for Bowie 80s music, you have Let's Dance and Modern Love, China Girl, right? Then after that, it's a steep downhill after basically those 3 songs. There are some good songs on Let's Dance, like Shake It is a great little song. Maybe you can throw in Blue Jean from Tonight, and of course Loving the Alien, which you haven't heard on the reality tour. They do a rework version of Loving the Alien that is fantastic. Never Let Me Down, actually the songs that are on that are the B-sides are better than any actual album cut on Never Let Me Down. But I'm getting to a point. On Absolute Beginners, Bowie has a scene in it and he does a couple songs. The title track, Absolute Beginners, the full 8.5-minute version, Matt, awesome. One of his best songs. If you haven't heard it, go ahead, download it off of iTunes today. So, obviously, that means my number 5 pick is Labyrinth.
Good build up. Good build up. I saw where you were going with that.
That's right. Jim Henson's greatest film outside of maybe the Muppet movie. Labyrinth, you have David Bowie as the Goblin King. Jennifer Connelly, beautiful young woman who hates her little brother. She's stuck having to babysit him and wishes he would go away. And Jareth, the Goblin King, takes him away. You know, one of the things you don't think about, Dave or Matt, whoever I'm talking to, is when you look at all you know what all the little goblins are in the Goblin Kingdom, right?
No, what are they?
They're the little babies. They're the kids that are stolen.
Gotcha.
I don't know if people know that. And if you check it out too, I think it's on Cracked. It may be part of their after hours, but I think it's Janaya Cracked. They have a whole thing where Labyrinth is a whole sexual metaphor from start to finish about growing up and discovering your sexuality. It's very interesting and very amusing. So you should check that out as well. But as I said, for me, this whole list is, well, not actually, that's not true. But a majority of this list is nostalgic for me. And I picked David Bowie and Labyrinth.
All right. Well, this is going to be an interesting list then. I'm looking forward to this. Let me just say this. I've never seen Labyrinth all the way through. In fact, I would be hard-pressed to even remember a scene from Labyrinth.
Wow.
In fact, most of the time, I get Labyrinth and Legend confused. Isn't that weird?
They're very different.
They are, but I always think that Jennifer Connelly's in both of them.
And she's not.
Yeah, I know she's not.
Yeah, Sarah.
But I always think that it's the same person, and I'm like, so then when I see that, I'm like, wasn't Tom Cruise in that one? And I'm always invariably wrong. I'm like, no, wrong one. Sorry.
Fine. So, what's your number 5?
Well, my number 5. So I saw this movie. I managed to get it out of the library from their video selection. Way too young when I watched this, and it's Platoon by Oliver Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Really good movie. Although I don't know if it holds up as well. But basically, it follows a new recruit in his first, being drafted in his tour in Vietnam during his years and his year tour, and then it shows how basically he starts as a raw recruit and then goes all the way up and kind of shows the kind of different kind of soldiers that are there and the conflict that's there, and some of the atrocities and things like that happened. It's a really good movie. It's still probably one of the great war movies that have been created in the last 30 years. So I think I think it doesn't. It's not as. I remember it being considered extremely shocking and very graphic when it came out, but with some of the stuff that's happened with like Saving Private Ryan or Fury, how violent those are, it actually seems almost quaint now if you watch it now.
Yeah. In fact, at one point when I was making my list, before I decided to say to hell with it and jettison any real, I don't know, discernible decision making, and it was actually my number 2 film.
Okay.
But when I decided to just embrace the inner kid in me and really just fall in love with 86 again, it got popped out.
There you go.
Except, what's funny in my list is that there is still one film that I held. Well, we'll get into all that. My number 4 is possibly the only Russell Mulcahy film that I'll ever be on any one of my lists. Any idea what that is?
No idea.
Highlander.
Ugh. Number 4?
Number 4. I can't tell you how many times I watched this movie over and over again when I was a kid. The Queen soundtrack, well, not technically a soundtrack per se. Michael Kamen did the score, but Queen did a bunch of songs for the film. And what I love about it is you have a French guy playing a Scottish guy and a Scottish guy playing an Egyptian or a Spaniard.
He's a Spaniard, yeah.
Spaniard, excuse me. And
neither one of them trying to mask their accent at all.
You got Hulk Hogan in the beginning, right? Hogan's in the beginning of that, isn't he?
I think so. If I remember correctly, maybe, yeah.
That's where the film starts at a wrestling match. And it zooms out and it goes right into Christopher Lambert, who's singularly lit. And then, come on, there could be only one. It's birthed so many crappy sequels in television shows. Everything just a carbon copy with just less and less quality as each one is made. But I'm telling you, man, that first film as a kid, the fantasy, plus one of the first times I saw a naked breast on film. I'm telling you, Highlander was a huge film for me. It helped spark my love for Queen as well. So, 1 Year of Love. There's a lot of music commentary today. 1 Year of Love, which is the love song from that, next to Who Wants to Live Forever. But yeah, in fact, okay. So I love 1 Year of Love. Who Wants to Live Forever is a better known song. And in fact, my senior quote from high school was a line from Who Wants to Live Forever, which is ridiculous, and I wish I never did it, but it is. So anyway, Highlander's my number 4. So there, that's right. So I have Labyrinth and Highlander ranked above Platoon.
All right, there you go. Very good. All right. Well, I guess this is a really strange position to be in. I'm being the more cinephile filmic one out of us, the snobbier one here. So my fourth pick, I had a bit of a Sophie's choice here. I went with the better film, but I will talk about what should have gone there in my honorable mentions. But it's Michael Mann's Manhunter, the first incarnation of the Red Dragon film, and the first on-screen appearance of Hannibal Lecter, in a completely different way of watching it than the way that Anthony Hopkins portrays Lecter. But a really well-shot movie. Tom Noonan is the dragon. And basically what this is, it's just a film about, obviously, an FBI profiler is chasing after a serial killer named the Tooth Fairy, who is killing people, and he enlists the aid of Hannibal Lecter to help catch him. But it's a great movie. It's very tense, very extremely of its time. It's definitely an 80s movie through and through, and you can't separate it from that time period. But it's still, unfortunately, but it's still, it still holds its own, and it's something that if you're into those kind of thriller type films, it's something that you have to see.
I think it's still a superior film to Red Dragon.
Yeah, it is. It is in a lot of ways.
So, you know what? I've decided now, too, going through this, to try and win back some of my cred at the end of this list. I will give you my original list.
Okay.
Because I do have it.
Okay, very good.
All right. So my number 3, as we continue this march into madness, I'm going to tell you it is Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home.
Right. That didn't even make my honorable mentions, and I'm such a Trekhead.
Come on, it's the most fun one. It's very funny. It actually brought a lot of people into the Star Trek stuff because it wasn't just a sci-fi action-y type film, Well, the success of Star Trek II is the fact that they embrace the naval theme. It's Horatio Hornblower in space, and it works perfectly. And what they do is in 4 is they expand it to a wider audience. And they get people in. It's because it's just as much as a family film as it is anything else. It's a comedy. It's a lot of fun. Does it hold up so well? Not so much, but still, it has some classic Trek moments. Shatner and Nimoy, rest in peace, are in fine top form in this film, as is the whole cast. It's just, you know what? It's a lot of fun.
You're right. It is probably. It is the most fun. It is really funny, and it still actually holds up in that way. My problem with it, I think, is just when you sit back and think about what it's about and kind of the tacked on, environmental message, and that was so topical of the time. It's just so hokey, even for a Star Trek film. But I think the actual individual performances and the lines are really funny, are still really enjoyable.
Sure. All right, what do you got?
All right, yet another film that I was way too young when I watched this. Again, my dad rented this, and I managed to sneak it on the sly. Is David Cronenberg's The Fly, and this movie fucked me up. It was super freaking scary. I thought it was really disturbing. It was body horror and its full on thing, man. When I saw her give birth to that maggot, that thing. That was some messed up stuff.
Yeah, Cronenberg is the master of that stuff. I'm telling you, Fly is a film that sticks with you because it's not so much the horror of it. Well, I don't want to say too much about it. Just watch it if you haven't seen it. I think it's one of Cronenberg's best films. It is. What's funny because it also had his real mass appeal for him too. He really, I think, reached a wider audience with that film.
Yeah,
and really screwed people over in the head.
I mean, it really, if you've heard the term body horror and how Cronenberg's movies exemplify body horror, this is really going to give you what that really means if you watch this film. But yeah, it was disturbing, and I like it.
Yeah, some unforgettable effects.
Yeah.
All right, so then, in my once again clarifying, nostalgic top 5, I'm.
I love how you have to like quantify and justify.
Now, this one I'm a little nervous about because I haven't seen it in a very long time. But I remember loving it as a kid, and it's The Little Shop of Horrors musical, Frank Oz's film.
All right.
I really, really enjoyed that film when I was a kid. I had to buy the soundtrack on audio cassette, and it's had a big impact on me. I don't know what it was. Just Rick Moranis as Seymour. And just very funny. Steve Martin, Bill Murray have great little roles in the film, and it's just one of those. It's like I said, it had a huge impact on me. I really liked it. I still to this day sometimes sing some of the songs in my head, and I really enjoy it. Though I don't own the soundtrack. I haven't had it in a very long time since audio cassette, so I think I have to pick it up. So,
now, have you seen the altered director's cut with the alternate ending?
No, I know. I have to pick it up. I want to pick it up on Blu-ray, but I think the only way to get it is with the altered cut, and I want to get both.
Okay.
So I'm kind of holding off, hoping that comes out.
There you go. Interesting. Yeah, it's a good pick. I remember liking that a lot when I was a kid as well. Despite my general hate of musicals, but it was, I think, all of the alien violence really cured me of that. So
there you go.
Yeah. All right. So my number 2 is little coming of age tale. Was Stand By Me. As a kid, I really liked this film. I think, it still holds a special kind of place where that whole adolescent adventure, like going out and kind of doing something with your friends, which, I think is kind of dying. I don't think that's really happening as much anymore, where you can kind of get lost in the woods and do things that you're not supposed to be doing and
find a dead body.
Well, yeah, okay, besides finding a dead body, but going on an adventure, camping out, swearing, smoking, doing things mischievous, type things. I think it's definitely, even though obviously I wasn't alive during that time period, it's definitely evokes a sense of time and place, which I think still holds up today, and it still will if you watch it now. I think it's a good period piece, and I still think it's, it has a lot of impact.
Yeah, that's a film I've only seen like 20 minutes of.
Really?
Yeah,
I've never seen the whole thing.
No.
No?
I don't know what it is. The circumstances have never worked out. The stars have never aligned for me to see Stand By Me.
Interesting. That surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
No chopper sick balls? Man.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, there you go.
So, where am I? My number 1. Wow. Okay. Well, I think it's got to be your number 1. If it's not, I don't know what even to say to you. But it's Cameron's Aliens. It has to be.
It is. That is my number 1. Was there ever really any doubt?
No film. I mean, that's a film I watch probably at least once, if not twice a year. Mm-hmm. Every year. I can't. It has a high rewatchability factor. It takes the conceit of the alien, which if you see the first film, which if you haven't, see it, but which is basically just a haunted house movie, the first film. The second one takes that trope, but then turns it on its head and turns it into a sci-fi action movie. And it is disturbingly effective. It is so entertaining, so much fun. You still have the scares, but you have just fantastic action. You have great performances. Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn. It's just a lot of fun, and it's a great film. I may have some qualms with the very end, with the fight with the alien queen, which I think, as I've watched it over and over again, I think I don't know, it doesn't work as much as it used to for me. But outside of that, I think one of the more eminently quotable films. I can't tell you how often I say "game over," man. Game over, man. Game over. So that's my number 1.
Yeah, that was my number 1 as well. I don't really have a whole lot to add. I mean, it's the action in it is exhilarating. It's very tense in moments. And I do appreciate where Cameron was able to really flesh out the world. It almost seems like, the universe of the Alien franchise. I think that was really built with this film, where it feels like it's a much wider world and there's all of this other stuff going on that you just kind of want to know more about. So, yeah, I think this is an excellent film. I every time I watch it, it's like, man, I forgot how much I freaking like this movie. And it's excellent.
So there you go. All right, I'll give you my original top 5, and then we can do some honorable mentions because there were quite a few. So originally, my number 5 was The Fly.
Okay.
My number 4 was Manhunter.
Okay.
Number 3 was Platoon. 2 was Aliens.
Wow. Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that.
Number 1 was Blue Velvet.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's my first exposure to David Lynch, was Blue Velvet.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Hopper is one of the greatest villains of all time in that film.
Yeah.
He is so disturbing and so weird. Isabella Rossellini comic. I mean, it is just it's basically like you're watching a nightmare. And it's one of those films that just gets in your brain and just sticks to you. You can't forget it. So that was my original critically pure top 5 film list. So interesting. I think it's interesting that Top Gun didn't make either of our lists.
You mean the volleyball movie?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'll admit, obviously I was a child of the 80s, so of course I loved Top Gun. I thought it was I watched it over and over and over again when we got it on videotape. But I remember watching it now, and I think this movie and another one that's going to be on my list. I had seen it so many times where I don't even know if I feel like I need to ever see it again, and I've seen it, I do catch it and it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of good, but it just doesn't hold up for me as well as you would think it would have.
So what are some of your honorable mentions?
So Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is another one that I saw so many times that I don't know if I ever need to see it again, but it's obviously, eminently quotable, and I understand why people like it. It is a great movie.
Me too.
Blue Velvet. Transformers the movie, the animated movie, because as a kid, that movie blew my mind. That was the first time that, obviously, as you know, Chris, as a child of the 80s, where nobody ever died in cartoons, and then 10 minutes into the damn thing, half the cast is dead, like right off the bat. That blew my mind as a kid. That was very traumatic.
Can I tell you, they lost me forever because of that.
Really?
Optimus Prime, you can't kill Optimus Prime.
I know, man.
It's just in a marketing ploy to sell these crappy Rodimus Prime toys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. So from that point on, I was done with the Transformers.
There you go. But I mean, yeah, that was a turning point of my childhood, and the soundtrack is awesome. Whereas, Dirk Diggler songs and Boogie Nights, those are from Transformers the movie. And then lastly, another film that doesn't really hold up as well, but I had a lot of fun when I was watching it, so I'll give it an honorable mention. When I was a kid, was Big Trouble in Little China. I did catch that the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, this is ridiculous," but I can see how I liked this when I was a kid.
It's funny. I watched it the other day myself, a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't feeling well. I watched it again because I was on a Carpenter run. I don't know what it was, but I'm a big fan of John Carpenter's work. But you got to be very careful. What are you choosing? What films to watch?
That's very true. And I was struck by some of the casual racism that's in it. I was like, oh, I don't really remember this. But
exactly. And what's her name? Oh, Kim Cattrall.
Yeah,
is atrocious in that film.
Terrible.
She's so really bad.
So bad. Yeah, it's definitely got its fun points, and if you've never seen it, it is like a cheesy movie you have to see, but just be careful. Just go in knowing that it hasn't aged well in a lot of ways.
Just be thankful every time Kurt Russell's on screen, and then just turn away when he's not, and you'll be okay. Hoosiers was on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Back to School, and then I'd have to go. I think I had Crocodile Dundee.
Okay,
those are my honorables. And I like that I got to work in two top fives. So
I know, I saw what you did there.
Thank you. All right. So what's coming up next week? Well, we're going to talk about Fast and Furious, which is Furious 7. And I'm also going to try and check out this film. Let's listen.
I'm in suspense. What is it?
It's Ex Machina, that new sci-fi film with Oscar Isaacs. And
is that the girl from Game of Thrones?
It looks like her, but I don't believe it is her.
Okay.
But I don't remember what her name is.
She's too busy. Emilia Clarke. She's too busy being in Terminator Genesis.
Yeah, no. Claire Selby.
Oh, okay.
So no. But I'll be trying to check out Ex Machina as well. We'll be doing Furious 7. Get to see Paul Walker's swan song. I want to do top 5 send-off films, like the last films.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
10 seconds. So we'll see if we can pull that off. So that was a clip from Ex Machina, the sci-fi film that's reviewing rather well on Rotten Tomatoes right now, Matt, at 89%.
Nice. How many critics?
I think 1. No, I'm kidding. It's let's see, 70, 62 fresh, 8 rotten.
Not too bad.
So I'll be checking that out this weekend. We'll do Furious 7. In the meantime, shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, where you can watch the live stream of the show. Download us from iTunes. Don't forget to check out Dave's Briar Rabbit channel for the latest and greatest in video game news. Mortal Kombat 10 being released next week with DLC of Jason Voorhees and the Predator.
Wow.
Nailed that. I said, well, you gave me Jason Voorhees. Predator's perfect for this game. And then, boom, a week later, Predator.
They heard you. They were listening to the show.
That's the kind of power the show has.
They're like, you know what? He's right. Render that shit.
And I'm glad to see we have that kind of pull. In the meantime, Matt, hopefully we'll have you back next week. I don't know if you'll be able to check out any of the films.
I don't know if I will. I'm trying to save up my film watching for the summer movie season because there's a lot I'm going to have to see. So I got to save that stuff up.
But you know what we can report back on, Matt? Let's talk about episode 1 of Daredevil.
Oh, well, yes, let's do that.
All right. And then maybe Game of Thrones. I don't know.
If
I
we
don't
have
have the same pull for Thrones as everybody else does. I like it, but it's not like a Breaking Bad thing for me. I don't know what it is.
You just haven't gotten sucked into all the minutia of it. You might have to turn.
Speaking of which, Better Call Saul. Do you watch that?
No, I have the last 2 episodes sitting on my DVR. So I've over the past few days I've caught up on Shield, Justified, and The Americans. Saul had to suffer. So
all right. Well, check that out immediately.
All right, I will.
All right. So that's going to be the big show for this week. Everybody, thanks for listening. We'll see you in a week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. I got to play my Cobra clip. You're the disease, and I'm the cure. Because I came out in 86 as well.
I did. I saw that. I saw that.
So if you want to check out, you can hear the Cobra clip if you download the show from iTunes. All right. That's it, everybody. Have a good night.